Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome to the very first episode of Elev8ed Moment. Uh, I'm Dr. Jaye Johnson. I'm the founder and creator of Elev8ed Guru Totems for the Soul, which is an online metaphysical tools brand that carries anything from manifestation kits to books and journals, along with crystals and healing crystals, and even education around how to utilize those tools for yourself. So I want to say that today is Wednesday, and this show that we're creating is called Elev8ed Moment, and it really is an opportunity for me to share, for us to share as Elev8ed Guru, just tips and tools and tricks and strategies for living an elevated life, for having and manifesting all that you desire in your life. And there'll be moments throughout the show where I may have um, teaching moments where there are things, specific tips or specific actions you could that will share that you can take and utilize in your own life. There's also opportunities that we have coming up where we'll have special guests who maybe specialize in some area of healing arts, um, and they'll come share their expertise. But the show is here to be of service to the world. Uh, one of the one of the reasons Elev8ed Guru exists is because uh, it was given to me as part of my purpose here on this planet, and in that it is for me to give to the world um, all the resources possible, that so that each and every person can remember exactly who they are, like why they came here, why they are special, why they have the skills, gifts, and talents that they've been given. And so in doing that, we'll be bringing this sort of content to you every single week. The commitment is that we'll host the show here on Facebook and on YouTube as well, on our YouTube channel. And we will come to you every single Wednesday at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. So if you can't join us live, you can always join the replays or and whatnot that'll be left here on the page. We are streaming from an app called StreamYard. So if you're familiar with StreamYard, if you want me to be able to see your face and to call you by name, you have to give StreamYard permission to share your information with me, because otherwise, if you're posting in the comments, I can see your comments, but all I can see is Facebook user. So I'd love to get to know who's joining me today. And if you wouldn't mind, at the top of the post on Facebook, you just give StreamYard permission to share your name with me, and then I can know who you are. So if you want to know more about Elev8ed Guru, first of all, Elev8ed is spelled ELEV, the number 8 ED, and Guru. And if you want to know more about us or see some of the products that we offer for purchase on our store, you can visit Elev8ed.guru. So it's just Elev8ed.guru. There's no .com. There's nothing else to add on to that. It's just Elev8ed.guru. And I'll throw it up here as a slide so you can see. So it's www. You could type that or not, but it's .elev8ed.guru. And you can check out everything that we offer there, and just see what we're all about. So that being said, the Elev8ed Moment weekly show is streamed across the internets as a way of giving back, of service. And so in service to that, I'm going to talk about some topics that are pretty important. tonight, the topic for tonight is really about how we can use language to manifest or create what we want in our life. And I use the term creation and manifestation synonymously. So I use them as the same term. So uh, if you call it manifestation, great. If you call it pray and wait for something to come, whatever you call it, I'm talking about calling into your experience exactly what you want to experience, whether it's you want something material or you want a feeling to be a part of your life, whatever it is that you're up to creating here in your life right now. You can utilize language as a foundational um, launching point, right? Language is very powerful in our perspective of the world. It's very powerful in the creation process. And so the interesting thing is that we don't necessarily, as a society, talk about or teach why language is so important and how to utilize it properly. And so we tend to negate educating our youth about the real importance of language. And I just want to share with you that without language, there is no creation. So nothing gets created without language. Language is foundational to creating anything, whether it's a product, a service, your life, a baby, it doesn't matter. Everything gets created in language. And so um, it's important that as if you're up to manifesting a life that you love, the things that you want in your life, then you have to gain mastery around language. So, how can you use language to manifest what you want? Well, whether you know it or not, language is already manifesting what's in your life. Um, the experience that you have in your life is a result of, at some point, a creation in language, whether it's something that we have in our lives that we see and we're like, I don't want that, or it's something that we have and we celebrate and we love. Either way, it's been created with language first. Hey, Tabitha, thanks for joining. Um, so, so given that, when you look out at your life and you say to yourself, hey, I really love this part of myself, or I really would love to have more of this, right? When you say that, it is being created as you are saying it. So even as we think it in language, it is being created, whatever it is we think. If we think to ourselves and say to ourselves, I really don't like her because she always wins, that is a creation that we have created in our mind. Now, one could say that you could go nuts trying to monitor your thoughts, your language, what you say to yourself in your head, like trying to monitor all of that. You could spin out. Like we have so many thoughts, so many judgments, so many opinions, so many phrases that pop up in our awareness, our head, things that we say on automatic that we might have heard people say and they just come out as colloquialisms. Like we have so many things that just come out on automatic because it's how we've always done things, that to try to censor and monitor that could be a full-time job, right? So what I'm going to share with you tonight, how you can start to intentionally create with your language without going cuckoo, if you will, or continuously censoring yourself and monitoring everything that you say. I'm going to share 5 strategies for you to put into place that will allow you to elevate your language so that the creations you're creating are in alignment with what you want to see as your experience or what you want to manifest in your life. And there is a book called The Four Agreements. The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. And in this book, and I'm paraphrasing this based on my memory, so I don't have the book here in front of me to actually quote it verbatim. But in the book, Don Miguel talks about what he calls casting spells with your words, with your language, with the things that we say, and that we should be mindful of how we speak, because every time we say something, we cast a spell. That's his terminology of casting a spell. Well, I translate that in the terminology that works for me, which is it's a creation, right? It's like, here's an example, and I think he uses this example in the book, actually. He talks about a mother who's had a hard day at work, and she comes home and her daughter is there, and her daughter loves to sing. So her daughter was singing, and the mother said, please shut up. She was irritated with work, but that frustration was still present in her. And so she heard the daughter singing, and it irritated her even more. And she yelled at her and asked her to shut up, be quiet. You have a horrible voice. Well, in saying that to her daughter then internalized that. According to Don Miguel, the way he describes it is the daughter made an agreement with herself, agreeing with the mother that she had a horrible voice and that she was to never sing again. And so when he uses the term casts a spell, he uses it as the mother's frustration, which was not necessarily with the daughter. It was based upon her own experience. She, with her words, cast a spell on the daughter, which caused the daughter to have this internal, now new internal agreement that she can't sing, she shouldn't sing, and she should never sing again. Well, we do that not just to other people. We cast out those sorts of creations and spells, or whatever you want to call it. We cast that out on not just other people, what we do it to ourselves. And when we do it to ourselves, we either agree with it or not. It doesn't matter. The initial action of creating the language in that way causes a creation to be birthed. It causes a new creation to be expressed. And it's like casting a spell out and having that spell start to mature and become something. And so it gets carried even further, because when we create something, we then start to see evidence of the creation. And when we see evidence of the creation, we start to make an internal agreement with the evidence. So if you're tracking that, when we say something negative to ourselves, we're creating that, whatever it is we've said, and then in our creation process, we start to attract evidence of the creation. So if you walk around telling yourself that you're stupid, or that you can't read, or that you can never learn, or you can't open a business, or you can't do this, you can't do that, whatever it is that you say to yourself that's disempowering, when you say it, you create it, and then your world starts to show you evidence of it, right? Like you'll be asked to read something that's really, really hard, or you'll stumble on words, or you'll fail at something else, or do something, whatever. It just starts to line up to make your creation real, right? Evidence of this on the other end is when you start to create something like, oh, I want a brand new car. And I think I want a brand new red Corvette. Not like the song, but maybe like the song, Little Red Corvette. I'd like a brand new red Corvette. And you see that red Corvette, you create it in language. And what happens is you start to see more red Corvettes, right? Part of this is the reticular activating system that is a part of who we are. We see something. It is really bringing whatever it is that you're creating closer to you, right? You start to see evidence of it. You start to see possibility, right? The creation happens on both sides, whether it's something you don't want in your life or it's something you do want in your life. Language is always causing the creation at the foundational level. Now, the fuel or gasoline that gets poured on the creation is the agreement you make with the creation. Once you create it, you see evidence come back, you agree that, oh, maybe I was right about that. And then more evidence starts to present itself, right? So I did a live stream yesterday, and you can always go back and see this. I think it's still up, so you can definitely take a look at it. But I was talking yesterday about how to match what we want to manifest with our purpose, with our greater purpose. When we create with our words in alignment with our greater purpose, with our purpose, it's like putting jet fuel on the creation process. It's like pushing it out at light speed, right? To bring it back. So today, what I really want to get into is the 5 tips that I have for intentionally utilizing your language for good, intentionally utilizing your language for creation of what you want to manifest in your life in a very, very powerful way. And the interesting thing is you don't have to go censoring yourself all the time because it's virtually impossible. And you're going to start, if you put these into practice, you will start to see results in what you start to manifest into your life, that it will be more in alignment with what you want to see, right? So the first one is to be specific. When you want to create something, you have to be clear, concise, and clear. Like, you have to have clarity around what it is you want to create, leaving no detail spared, right? You want to have language that is specifically for what it is you want. So instead of saying, I want a house could be many different things in many different neighborhoods and look many different ways. But the more specific you are, the more detailed you are, the faster you can move towards seeing that in your experience, whatever it is. Like when you say a house, you could drive down the street and see 1,000 houses. But if you're looking for a specific house with pillars in the front and a large front yard with roses around the grass, right? Now you're looking for a specific version of that house. You want to be as specific as you can. The more detailed you are, the more specific your language is, the easier it is for you to start manifesting and becoming closer, getting closer to that which you want to create. It's about getting as close as you can until it's realized. And the feeling tones of seeing what you want to create, experiencing it, witnessing it, having it show up in your experience repeatedly draws you closer to it. Step 1, be specific. Step 2, use positive language. That goes without saying. It's pretty simple. Like these steps are not rocket science. I'm going to say that. And we forget them, myself included. So Using positive language, framing it in the affirmative, is in alignment with moving toward. So in neurolinguistic programming, which is something that I practice with my clients, I'm a neurolinguistic programming practitioner, trainer of neurolinguistic programming. And if you don't know what neurolinguistic programming is, that's fine. It is language that we use to program and reprogram our mind and our state of being. And so in neurolinguistic programming, we talk about how it's less impactful for you to create goals or manifestations that you want in your life to move away from something. It is more impactful to create goals and languaging around those goals that moves you towards something. So if you say, let's say, for example, you have the desire to own a business. Let's say I want to be a business owner of a thriving business. Now, I want to be a business owner so that I don't have to work a 9 to 5 is a move away from. So it's like, I want this business in order for me not to have to do something X, you fill in the blank, right? That is a move away from. However, if you just rephrase it a little bit, I want to be a business owner so that I can be a greater contribution to my community, my family, my life. It's a different direction. You're now moving toward something rather than away from something. See, our minds, our unconscious minds, it only knows the affirmative. When it hears a negative, it shapes it like an affirmative. And so, not to go down this rabbit hole too far, because this is a whole day's lecture in an NLP training session, but to put it simply, when we move toward something, we're moving toward possibility. When we're moving away from something, we're moving away from negativity, right? So when you're moving away from something that you're averse to, then it is less motivational and less powerful than moving towards something that presents opportunity and possibility. So when you're talking about creating something that you want in your life, step 2 is to use positive languaging, because negative languaging attracts negative experiences, and positive languaging attracts positive experiences. So number 3, use present tense. And this is really powerful, because we often say, I want to X, or I want to have X, or I want to become X. It's often a want. And so in your languaging, when we put out the term want, remember, it's a creation. The moment you say it, it's actually the moment you think it is a creation, right? And so when we put the phrase, I want something, then it is, what is want? Want is not a state of being, doing, or having. It is a state of wanting, which means it would begot more wanting, right? Remember the positive languaging. Not that want is overtly negative, because it's not. However, it's a more powerful languaging of what you desire to say it in the present tense. And the present tense makes a difference, because your unconscious mind, the part of you that goes into automation to start to align you with the things that you desire, that part of you that runs your body without you thinking about it, only knows positive. It only knows how to respond in the positive. It's always a yes. And so when you're languaging what you want to use it in you want to language it in the positive sense because it has more power. Your unconscious mind understands it. It speaks the desire in a present state. You speak the desire in a present state, which gives it more power. So present tense. So if it is that you desire to have a new car, your creation statement is that I have a new car. It is I have a new car in my experience. Now, it may not be true, right? You may say, well, I don't really have a new car. That's something I want. But if you're constantly wanting a new car, then you're creating more wanting. So if you declare that I have a new car in my experience on the date, and then you set the goal, there's nothing that prevents you from declaring your goals in the positive tense. It may feel a little like, well, why am I saying it like this if I don't really have it right now in this reality? Well, you're saying it like this because you're moving momentum. You're moving yourself, you're creating momentum, moving yourself closer to having the experience in your current reality. So when you're languaging what you want to manifest or what you desire in your life, you're languaging it in the current and present tense, as if it is done. As if it is done. It's a powerful place for you to stand. It's not faking it. It's declaring that in your experience, you are creating exactly what it is that you want. You're manifesting exactly what it is that you want in this moment. Hope that makes sense. The fourth piece is to include emotions. When you include emotions, it ties it to a physical feeling in your body, which amplifies everything you want to create. When you create something with your words, I am, or I have in my experience, whatever it is, and having this present for me makes me feel what in the presence of this manifestation I feel, right? To tie an emotion to the way to tie your manifestations to an emotion anchors it in your physicality. Now, without going down a whole rabbit hole about the different bodies that we possess as human beings, we definitely possess a physical body. And our physical body stores emotions and intentions in different locations in our body. Some people may say when they feel strongly about something, they feel it in their gut, like their solar plexus. Or when you feel immense feelings of love, you feel it in your chest, like near your heart, right? Well, the same thing applies to everything that you want to create in your life. When you tie it to a feeling, it will anchor itself somewhere in your physicality. This is the secret sauce of affirmations. We've all heard of affirmations, law of attraction, declare what you want, say it in an affirmative way, right? It's no different than what I've already said. You should say it positively, be specific, present tense. That's all a part of creating a powerful affirmation, right? You're affirming that you are creating, you are manifesting, you're experiencing, you're declaring, right? All of those are very powerful affirmation statements. And including an emotion with that is a part of the secret sauce to amplifying an affirmation, right? When I meet people all the time who say, well, I say my affirmations every day, like 100 times. And that's great. But if you have no emotion tied to it, it doesn't anchor itself in the physical world, which is anchoring to your physical body. If when you say your affirmation, you feel overwhelmingly joyous, It is now amplifying that affirmation. It's what I call affirmation generation. You're now generating your affirmation from your very beingness rather than saying a sentence in a rote, routine sort of way, like writing standards. I, I equate people saying affirmations over and over again without generating it like writing standards in school. You remember when yeah, I don't know if you all had to do this, but I had to write standards when I got in trouble. I think it was like third or fourth grade. You'd be like, I will not chew gum in class. And you had to write it over and over and over again. It had no meaning, right? It didn't even anchor. The next day I was chewing gum in class again. Like it didn't stop me from chewing gum. There was no attachment to it. It was like, okay, this is a meaningless exercise. Well, affirmations can be just that, meaningless, if there is no heart, no feeling, and no generation in it. And so attach a feeling to what it is that you're creating. And the fifth thing is obviously affirm that. Affirmation statements, manifestos, but from what I just said before, a generational tone. You don't have to say it a million times. The universe, source, the creator of it all, doesn't need to hear you make the request a million times, right? The repeated affirmations is excellent if you're generating it with heart, with passion, with soul, with feeling. That's where the power is. It's not in, I say my affirmations 10 times before I go outside. I say it 20 times before I go to bed. I say it is that's just standards. It's you could say it one time with every sense of energy, joy, beauty, laughter, creativity that you have in your experience. And it's far more powerful as an affirmation than it is if you said it 100 times every day in the rote routine. I am creating wealth. I am creating wealth. I am creating wealth. But if you say it, I am genuinely a creator in manifesting the wealth that I desire in my life, and feel with that affirmation all of the feelings as if it were manifested now. That's generation. Generating your affirmations is what gives them power. It's not just repeating it over and over again. And so when I talk to my clients about manifesting and creating affirmations, I'm like, don't write a paragraph for an affirmation unless you're ready to declare that paragraph with every ounce of your beingness every time you recite it. If you're going to commit to say it in the morning when you first wake up and at night before you go to bed, so it's the first thing you do and the last thing you do before you go to sleep, great. But don't write a 2-page novel as a part of your affirmations. Make it something succinct that once you state it, like in the stating process, you literally feel the feelings light up your body in the place where you feel them, right? So before I said attach a feeling to it. And I also mentioned that by attaching a feeling to it, there is some place in your body where you feel that feeling. If your affirmation is to generate wealth, then when I think of generating wealth, I feel it in my solar plexus. I feel excited. I feel curious. I feel creative, right? I feel all of that in my solar plexus. So if my affirmation is, I will generate millions of dollars, I am generating millions of dollars. When I generate that affirmation, when I say it with that power, I can't even stop moving. My leg is shaking right now because I'm excited. So I generate all of the energy that I feel, the feeling tone, in the saying of it, in the delivery of it, in the expression of it. That is generating your affirmations versus reciting them. So the 5 ways you can powerfully use language in a very intentional way to create and manifest everything that you want in your life this year. Number 1 is to be specific. Be specific in what it is you desire, as specific as you can be. And one other note about being specific, it's a great idea that in your specificity, it's a great idea that at the same time you're visualizing it. So if when you're thinking about generating wealth, do you see stacks of cash? Do you see zeros in your bank account, like dollar amounts in your bank account, on your bank statement, on your phone? What do you see? It's a great idea in being specific that you can actually see it in your mind, right? That's the best way to get all the details of it anyways, to create the picture of it in your mind and then note the details. The second piece is to use positive language. Remember, we're moving toward something, not away. So it's like, I want to generate wealth so that I'm not poor, right? That's an away, right? It's generating wealth. I am generating massive amounts of wealth. I see $10 million being in my experience, whatever it is, whatever the dollar amount is for you, right? But when I see that, it's not so I can get away from something. It really is just because that's what I desire in this experience, right? I'm moving toward something. So state it in the positive. The next is use present tense. It's here and now. The thing about present tense is there is no history or past, and there is no future. There is only this moment. This moment is created newly in the next moment and the next moment. There's only that moment. So create it in the present tense right now, right here and now. Declare it as so right now. The fourth, include emotions. Make sure that you include the feeling tone that you feel, having it realized in the present moment. So in this particular piece, I want you to actually go into the feeling, find it in your body, where it's located in your body. Whatever you feel when you have that desire, manifest it in your experience. Anchor it to wherever it is in your body, identify it. And then when you repeat or say or recite, I'm not even going to use those terms. Scratch that. Your affirmations should always be generated from that same energetic field that you applied, the feeling tone you apply. You should absolutely feel it. The delivery should be delivered with all of every beautiful divine aspect of who you are. It's a co-creation. It's like, I hate to use the term pitch, but if you're co-creating this experience with the creator that creates everything, and you want the creator to know that you are a good steward of this, you want this in your experience, you will be a good steward of having this manifested, then wouldn't you say it with all the zest, all of the je ne sais quoi, all of the effort and energy and every bit of your character that you could muster? Absolutely. You'd generate it from your very soul. And so when you deliver your affirmations, when you recite them, when you write them even, generate it from your soul, from every part of you, every beautiful aspect of who you are. And place all of that energy in delivering it with every piece of you. So those are the 5 tips that I have for you today to utilize language to create, manifest all that you desire in your life. I will challenge you to take this on and utilize these every single day. Be mindful of it. Language is a creation. You're creating whether you're conscious of it or not. The things you say, the language you use, the spells you cast on others is a creation. So to be intentional about what you want to create in your life, in your experience, start there. And all of your languaging will fall into alignment if you start with these 5 steps. There's no need to just monitor and censor yourself. There's no need for that. But there is for you to start here with what you want to create in your life. And then it's a ripple effect. It becomes a part of who you are, so that you're creating what you want to see in your life with every word, with every sentence, with every expression. I hope you enjoyed this. Please utilize this in your life. I'd love to know how this works out for you. And you could always come back and share and let me know how this is manifesting in your life. And if you got any great tips from this. Thank you for saying this was helpful. I appreciate it. I'm Dr. E.J. Johnson. Please be sure to join us next week for another episode of Elev8ed Moment. I appreciate you taking the time to watch this, whether it's live with me right now or on the replay. Your time is much, much appreciated. Thank you and have a good day.